The Ugly Truth will always be free, so it's clear the Uggs aren't in it for the money. But if you're a fan, we'd appreciate any support you can give. Visit uglytruth.com and check out the Support the Truth column on the right. You can donate, download our mobile app, or shop the Ugly Mall. All proceeds go right back into the show. As always, thank you, and now, on with the Ugly Truth. Are you ready for another mind-altering dose of the sisters who will say just about anything? Jamie.
Offer to take the wet spot or get a towel, and make sure that you're shaved all over.
And Paula.
I had a guy try that on me once, and I'm just like, what are you doing? I'm not going to do that.
Welcome to another unfiltered episode of The Ugly Truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. It is episode 146, and ding! My sister's back, everyone. Paula's back. Ugh! Ugh! Hooray! You know, I don't mind recording with producer Deb on the occasion when you need your schedule to be fluid, and I will always enjoy it. However, I really always miss you. There's always a time period in between. It's some part of the episode we'll be recording, and in the back of my mind going, oh, I wish Paula was here right now to say something to him right now. Because I know there are always things that you notice because you'll go, wait a minute. And you'll say something, and it's like that's what it's missing. You know, it's like it's missing some salt or something, some seasoning.
Some salt or some pepper.
Just a little bit, because, you know, you get in. I know you haven't listened to the episode yet, but it's, you know, I really, there's only so much I can do. There's only so much I can do with Daryl. So it's always nice to have a little perspective when you're there. So welcome back, Ugg. I'm so glad you're back. I hope you're feeling a little bit better.
It's good to be back.
Thank God. So yes, it's episode 146. Now, let's think of some of the things that happened while you were gone. Do you know who Abe Vigoda is?
He's the old guy I keep seeing on the news.
Yes, well, he finally died. He was 94. He was in Barnaby Jones. I don't even think you were alive yet when that show was popular. I was barely alive, actually. But Abe Vigoda has this long-running joke of saying, you know, I don't know, let me think of something. Glenn Fry passed away, but guess what, everyone? Abe Vigoda's still alive. This has been going on for years. The reason that I know Abe Vigoda is because I think I was like 11 or 12. And do you remember when we used to get the Sacramento Bee, the newspaper, and every Sunday you would get the TV guide in it? Mm-hmm. And in the back, there was a entertainment level crossword puzzle. And it took up the whole back page. And as I got older, I used to love doing that crossword puzzle. And so I was sitting on the couch for the first time doing this crossword puzzle. And do you remember, now our dad used to race sprint cars.
Yes.
And when he almost killed himself, he started to hire drivers.
Yes.
And he hired Kevin Urton, who is, you know, we all had a mad crush on.
Of course.
Even though he had this adorable girlfriend. He was at the house, and I think they were getting ready to go do race car stuff. And he was sitting next to me watching me do this crossword puzzle. And he goes, 12 across. And I said, yeah. And he goes, do you know who that is? I'm like, no, I don't even know how to pronounce Barnaby Jones. Like, I barely knew what Barnaby was. He goes, it's Abe Vigoda. And I said, okay. And I said, how do you spell it? And so he taught me how to spell Abe Vigoda. And so what was really funny is that Abe Vigoda was almost always in the crossword.
Oh.
Always. And so every weekend I'd look for that one first because thanks to Kevin Urton, I knew exactly what it was.
Wow.
And I never would have known. And so now this long running joke of him being alive, because he always looked old. Even when he was probably 40, he looked like an old man. Everyone was always so surprised that he was still alive and kicking until, of course, now he's dead. So safe home, Abe Vigoda, you crossword name person.
Well, what do you know?
I know it's a weird story, but it was just so funny because that's the only way I knew him. I didn't even know who he was.
And I didn't know him at all.
At all. So, yes, it is a new week. We're going into February 2016 already, which I can't even stand it. Do you have any new and exciting things to share with us other than that you were not feeling well, or are we just...
Well, other than it's another great week at Shangri-La here at the apartments.
Yes, you and your lovely new tenant owners. What are they called? Not landlords, but building owners.
Yeah. Well, so I've been getting lots of love letters from them. They've been cracking down on I don't know. I don't know what they're doing here. Every other day, it seems like we're getting love letters from our landlords about all the fun policies and updates that they're doing. And the last letter talking about the pet policy promised that next week we'll have new policies on our porches. So that should be fun about the things that we'll be allowed to have on our porch. But
oh my God.
On a side note, someone decided to back into my car when I was not outside. And I didn't notice it until I was at the grocery store with Ryan, my son, and I went to go. I have an SUV. And so I was popping the back, the back lid thing, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I noticed there was it wasn't bad, but I noticed there was a ripple in the paint. And I'm like, what is this? And so I was looking, and then along the whole back, there's a bunch of chunks or divots in the back of my bumper area. And I'm like, what is this bullshit? And so I start looking, and it just so happens the last 2 days, I had one of my indicator lights come on that my front left tire was low. And it was just bizarre that it was only my front left tire. And so the more I looked, someone had literally backed into the back right-hand side of my car. And so I think what happened is they pushed my car, and so
oh my God.
They pushed it so hard that it probably almost popped my front left tire.
What?
And so I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? So I have a bunch of divot and scratches on my bumper, and they pushed it so hard that it rippled the paint and pushed it.
They almost smashed your car
literally
against a wall. Well, this leads us to our first discussion of the week on the show is etiquette fun, because you, of course, were not given a note.
No, and
of any kind, no notification that they practically squished your car. Now, are you sure it happened at the apartment or at the grocery store?
No, it had to have been at the apartment because, like I said, for the past 2 days prior to me going to the grocery store, my tire light had been coming on, and I had asked Victor. He's like, oh, your tire light is on. He's like, we need to put air in your tire. And so I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's so weird that just the one tire came on. I said, because usually when my tires are low, all the indicator lights comes on that all the tires are low at the same time.
So somehow this strange occurrence of just one sole tire now is starting to make sense.
Here's the thing is my car has been door dinged or all sorts of damage caused to my car. It's been beat to hell.
That would piss me off.
All these things have happened to my car, and I have not had one person leave an effing note.
It was funny when you told me about this, and you're like, I want to talk about etiquette. And I said, that's a good idea, because there are rules of etiquette when it comes to pretty much when you're having any kind of interaction with other humans. There are rules, and there are rules of nature. It's not even like these are difficult to surmise in one's brain. If you hit someone, or property, the first instinct as a human being with even the minimalist of morals would go, I'm sorry that I damaged it. I need to seek out or let someone know so that I can perhaps help them fix it.
Don't you think you would stop and you would get out of your car and you would look to be like, oh crap, don't you think you should so then I ask Victor, and I do this every time because I've had a couple of door dings that have been right on the hub of where the wheel is. And so with this particular bumper part, I asked him, I'm like, do you think they even realized what they did? And he's like, yes, Paula. He's like, of course they knew what they did. Because I know where I've tapped a car before.
Oh, God. I'm always so terrified.
And I'm just like, oh, shit. And so I'll get out and I'll look and I'll inspect it up and down. And I'm like, I don't see a thing. I am afraid to look. And I'll look around and I'll see if I see anybody or anything. And I'm like, should I even leave or what do I do? I don't see anything, but I'm scared. So I'll leave and I'm thinking oh my God, I hope that was the right thing to do because I'm afraid. Right. But I'm like, these assholes, I'm like, they had to have known that they smashed into me.
Well, they have to have damage on their own vehicle, for God's sake.
And that's what Victor asked. He's like, when I first called him and told him when I saw it, he's like, is there any paint on there? Because he figured it probably happened to the apartment complex, because then he was going to start looking at cars.
I would have started looking at cars.
To see if there was, like, you know, and I'm like, there's no paint. And I'm like, oh, well, these assholes probably knew they didn't leave any paint.
That's why they left. Well, I will tell you that happened to Daryl once. It was actually, I'll tell you exactly when it was. It was the first day of school this year. So like in September, August, it was in August. We went to a restaurant downtown. We went to the Tower Cafe for a little celebratory breakfast. And we were in the parking lot. Now, the parking lot is always very full, and it's one of those narrow parking lots.
Oh, it's downtown, yeah.
Yes, it's downtown. And so we were in his Acura. It's not a huge boat of a car. It's a little compact,
tiny,
sporty little car. So we're in and out of there in less than an hour. And so we come out to the parking lot, and there's a note on his car. And it said it was from a neighbor across the street, because this Tower Cafe is surrounded by lovely craftsman homes. It's a beautiful area, actually. So there's this little Post-it note on his car that says, dear person, we watched an old man in a gold Acura with this number back into your car not once, but twice.
Oh,
and
my
he didn't
God.
even leave a note, and he didn't even get out to look. This is his car. This is his license plate number, and this is what kind of car it is. If he left any damage, please feel free to report him to the DMV. And so we looked at the car, and there was a little bit of damage to the bumper, but it wasn't enough to warrant hell.
What an asshole, though.
They made it very clear that this was an old man. And you know what's even funnier is I said, I know exactly what car it is, because I saw that car, because I thought, what an unusual color. And so I'm like, that motherfucker. Like, he's so entitled that he's not even like, oh, I didn't feel me back into it twice.
Right?
And I'm thinking, what a dick. And how hilarious that someone watched him do it and was able to literally get his license plate number and report him anyway.
Really?
And for that alone, I wanted to do it, because somebody went out of their way to be a good citizen to let us know. And it's like, where are your good citizens in your apartment complex?
I don't understand.
No one saw this person, because that is a significant amount of damage.
The only way they would have been able to fix this is if they had replaced my whole bumper. And you're talking like hundreds of dollars at least.
At least. How annoying.
And the thing that frustrates me the most is like, I'm coming up on year 4 of my car. Yeah. And it's like, we're literally on the downward slope of paying off my loan. And so I'm like, if I ever wanted to trade this in,
yes,
my car is so beat up right now with all of the door dings and all the damage now.
Yes.
Like, I probably wouldn't even, I don't even think I'd get a good as far as like trade-in value. It might be fair.
Listen, first of all,
this shit can't be buffed out.
No, it can't. Just a reference, you actually have a very nice car. It is not an old piece of shit.
No.
It's actually 4 years old. It's not even like old. You bought it brand new.
I bought it brand new.
So no note, no nothing, right? You're stuck with this
lot of nothing.
broken
I'm
bumper.
stuck with all this damage, and I don't even know. The only thing I could think of is the way it was done. It must have been a big car, but
You know what though? If it was a big car, your grill would be damaged.
I don't even know.
I don't know, but you know what? I have seen some of the people that live in your complex. For those that actually own vehicles, they don't look like people who would be able to casually walk around and not feel guilty about it.
I don't even know who it was. Of course, I can't remember anything. So Victor's like, well, where were we 2 nights ago? I'm like, you're asking me?
You're asking the wrong person.
I'm like, if I wasn't here, then I have no idea where I was.
Are you going to talk about the Emily Post?
Yes, I was just going to
talk about it, because I don't. Yeah, say it.
So I went to the Emily Post's website. For those of you who don't know, Emily Post wrote a book on manners and etiquette back in the 1900s. And so her family has carried on the tradition of talking about etiquette and manners in all sorts of social occasions.
Right.
Lo and behold, they actually had one on driving. And so we will probably post this, no pun intended, sometime this coming week. It doesn't necessarily pertain to accidents, but it does talk about driving. So let's see how good we are as far as our driving and our etiquette. So it says driving don'ts. Individual drivers have their own particular pet peeves, but the following behaviors by either aggressive or clueless drivers can aggravate even patient drivers. Blocking the passing lane for more than a reasonable amount of time.
Hate it.
So is that the middle lane? Like the,
It could be construed in two ways. When you are on a one-way road or two-way road where there's only two lanes, one going one way and one going the other, especially when you're on your way to like the mountains, every few miles there will be a passing lane so that if there's a bunch of trucks in front of you, you can go around them.
I hate
That's
that.
a passing lane.
Okay.
I have seen, it's very rare, but I have seen asshole truck drivers take that lane and you can't get around anybody. It's very rare. Most truck drivers are quite adept in knowing that they need to get out of the way so that everybody can speed past them because they're, chug-a-lugging up the hill.
No, I always get over in this, like, especially like when we're coming back from Tahoe or something, I always get in the slow lane because there's always like those people who just like want to fly like 100 miles an hour.
You mean like me?
I guess if that's you. I'm not, especially on the summit, freak. I don't want to go that fast.
I will say I've driven up there so many times. Unless there's snow on the ground, I'm feeling very confident about going over the summit. Going over the Grapevine into LA can be dicey. But other than that, man, I'm blowing through.
Okay.
Yeah.
This next one, I bet you do this. Speeding when you're getting past.
No, I do not compete with people. Here's the deal. Especially on the freeway, I'm always going over the speed limit. I'm always going at least 85. And so if someone is going faster than me, Godspeed, because I am not interested. I mean, I have been on the freeway and I have a Mustang. It's a very cool car. It's a V8. It goes very, very fast, very quickly. And so I can look down and I'm going 100 and I don't even know it.
Wow.
And so that is incredibly dangerous. So I don't do it with children in the car. It's only when I'm by myself. But 85 is about average on the freeway. And so if someone is blowing by me at that rate, I let them go. And if they are on my ass and I'm going 85, I pull over. I don't have an ego about that at all.
Victor seems to think that every stoplight with a car next to them, he thinks everybody automatically wants to race. And
it's a challenge?
And I'm like, that is not a race. I'm like, it's just a stoplight.
It's traffic.
I'm like, everyone has to stop. So, okay.
Yeah.
This one I didn't understand. Driving in the breakdown lane to pass a long line of stopped traffic. Do they mean the bike lane?
Well, on the freeway, these are all freeway.
Oh, is that what this is?
Scenarios.
Okay.
So far, anyway. These are freeway scenarios. But if there is, here's a good example of someone who did that and it didn't bode well for them. In LA, it's always bumper to bumper on the 405. And this person decided to bypass all of that going through the breakdown lane. They went too fast.
They had enough.
They just lost their minds.
I had enough.
It was some 22-year-old. He blew by everybody in the breakdown lane, hit something, and catapulted himself onto a billboard and died.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't go well for him. I wouldn't suggest it. And also, that's how cops get around.
Okay.
So I would never do that.
Okay, this one was kind of funny. They don't suggest you doing this. Daydreaming at a stoplight after it turns green. Obviously,
you're gonna be known. It's gonna be known very quickly that you're doing that.
No one recommends that, but I mean, if you recognize that you're doing that, I wouldn't recommend you keep doing it either. Like, I'm daydreaming at this green light. I think I'm just gonna keep doing that for a few more minutes.
Nowadays, it's being on your phone and not paying attention.
Well, that's true.
The opposite happened to our mother.
Was she daydreaming at a red light? I mean,
it was like 30. Well, it wasn't that long ago. It was like 25 years ago, and she had gotten fired. It was an ugly firing too.
Oh,
it wasn't like she knew it was coming. Like they were making changes, and she was just one of the casualties.
I remember that one. Yeah,
she was driving down Sunrise Boulevard, which is one of the busiest, most dangerous things, and she was completely glossed over. She's like, all I remember is I looked to my right, and there was a box of my things because she was a manager. She goes, and I blew through Sunrise and Fair Oaks, red light.
Oh, my God.
Highway Patrol pulled her over immediately. Saw her do it. Pulled her over. And she's like, what did I do? He goes, you ran a red light and you're really lucky you didn't die because nobody was coming yet. And I mean, it wasn't like she ran it like it just turned red. It was red.
Like
it had been red.
Oh my gosh.
And so he pulled her over and she's like, I'm so sorry I got fired and I wasn't even thinking. And of course, now, regardless of our personal feelings, our mother is very good looking. And the cop took pity on her and let her go.
Thank God. Well, talk about already having a bad day. I mean, what's he going to do? Like, you just lost your job and I'm going to give you a ticket?
And I'm going to give you a ticket for running a red light. And back in the
Knowing her, the queen of Ugly, she probably is like, here's a box of my things, officer. And, I can already hear it now.
See my things right here? I swear to God, I really got fired.
Here's my certificate of leadership and,
I was a top producer. Yeah, so she luckily they let her go, and luckily she didn't die.
Would you like to see a copy of my final pay stub?
Here's my notice.
Here's my check.
See?
It's pink. See?
If you just can't handle only getting your ugly truth one time a week, make sure to hang out with the Uggs on their social networks. Visit uglytruth.com and click on the Facebook and Twitter buttons to friend and follow the show, or search for us on Facebook and Twitter. And now, back to the truth.
There's talk on the street, it sounds so familiar. Great expectations, everybody's watching you. People you meet, they all seem to know you.
Well, there are other situations besides driving. I was, next week, Daryl and I are flying down to Southern California for a wedding. And I was thinking about the etiquette of a wedding when you were talking about all these drivers ones. Was there any more or was that it?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay. And so I was thinking about some of the things, and a lot of the rules have changed. Like, you can wear black to a wedding now.
Oh, okay.
You used to not be able to. It used to be considered like you were protesting.
Yeah,
if
like
you wore
wearing
black to a
red
wedding
or something. Yeah.
If you wear black to a wedding in the old days, it was usually someone's grandmother who was completely horrified that you were marrying into an Irish Catholic family and you happened to be Protestant or something, and they were in protest, so they would wear black. But nowadays, black is considered elegant, especially if you have an evening wedding, which a lot of people do. You still can't wear white, though. That's still a huge no-no.
Everybody knows that.
Unless, of course, you're Beyonce's sister. What's her name? Solange or whatever?
I don't know.
She had an all-white wedding. Everybody wore white.
I guess if that's, if that's the attire, like if it says specifically on the invitation, everybody wear white.
Everybody wear white. Then that's, I think, unusual. But overall, you don't really want to wear anything in the white.
We've been to weddings before where people wear white and everybody's gossiping like, oh my God, why is that girl wearing white?
It's like, why would that person wear white?
Like, you can't
wedding?
even wear like a colored top with like, a white skirt. Like, everybody's like, oh, she's wearing a white skirt.
You really, really need to stay away from the white. Now, I do realize that wearing white as a bride, most women shouldn't be wearing white to a wedding.
Yeah, even we'll gossip like, why is the bride wearing white?
Why is the bride wearing white? She should be wearing red.
Like, we went to high school with her. We know what that's all about.
It's like, why is that mother of three wearing white to her wedding? That's so odd. We all know you're not a virgin.
We know she's 4 months pregnant. What the fuck?
Why is she wearing, look at that baby bump. White? Really? But nowadays, and I know that there are women who wear off-white, or pink or something, or they get real crazy and wear black or whatever. But traditional weddings, you wear white. So you stay away from the white. And now, of course, you can't wear red. And I never really understood that. I don't know what the thing is about wearing red to a wedding. Is it because it's whorish?
I don't really know.
I thought that's what it was.
You know how I feel about weddings and traditions. So, I mean, I'm the last person to ask.
I know. I was just wondering, what's really funny? I think why is that I was in a wedding when I was like 19. A friend of mine got married. It was kind of a quick wedding. She wasn't pregnant or anything. They were just trying to get the show on the road. And we all wore red bridesmaids dresses because she got married in February.
Well, Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah, but it just seemed like an odd choice for a wedding group. But I mean, I've seen other weddings now where the bridesmaids wear red and there's red roses everywhere. And
I'm just saying, out of all of our weddings, most of us we wore black, and that's just because we're so freaking vain that none of us would be willing to wear anything other than black.
Well, this wedding we're going to is black tie optional, which means formal as you can afford, essentially. Oh. Daryl is not wearing a tuxedo, but he's wearing a very nice suit, silk tie, button-up shirt, blah, blah, blah. I am wearing a black gown.
Nice.
Got it altered, fits like a glove, thank God. I was having anxiety about
I told you, having it altered is the way to go.
God, I was so glad that thing zips up just perfectly. It is too long still. That's the only other thing that has to be fixed, but it's a raw edge, so it'll be a piece of cake.
Just get some tall shoes.
I was gonna wear the shoes that I wore to Natalie's wedding.
Oh, that's nice.
The satin shoes, because it's a black dress, and you can pretty much wear any color you want with a black dress.
Plus, you already know how to walk in those ones.
I do, and they're not. I don't tower over Daryl or anything like that. I mean, I am short, but Daryl's not exactly 6'2".
No, he's
so
not.
I can't go nuts with the heels because I don't want to be the same size as him. So
you don't want to have like a Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes kind of situation.
If he was a Tom Cruise size, I probably would really get used to kitten heels.
Yeah.
Which I hate, but I would wear them,
Sure.
because I have to have heels. But
you don't
anyway,
want to have that whole thing where he like walks around with his hand on the back of your neck the whole time.
You know what? I would never date a man who puts his hand on my neck. Ever.
Why? Does that bother you?
Oh, God. Dad used to direct me all the time. It is one of the most aggressive things to me. I hate it.
Oh.
I just want to turn around and smack someone if they ever did that to me.
I don't think that would bug me.
Oh, it bugs me beyond. It's like he would put his hand on my neck and direct me around. I just found it so aggressive. And I'm like, get your fucking hand off of my neck. God damn. I mean, I would get really hostile, but
Apparently
we were afraid of our dad. And so I didn't do a thing. But I mean, nowadays,
really.
if a man ever dared to, oh my God, you want to see, you've seen me get crazy. You would not even know you wouldn't recognize me. You're like, who's that demon over there?
Yeah, really.
I mean, I would lose my shit.
Who's the demon with the hand on the back of her neck?
just the hand. Where's the rest of the person?
Really, with the bloody stump on the back
Where's
of her
that bloody stump? What is that? Yeah, that would be me. The only other thing it says about wedding etiquette is stick to the registry. Do not stray. Don't get creative. It was so funny.
Yeah,
it's like,
really.
don't try to make them something out of macrame and think that they're going to love it.
Look, we got styrofoam cups attached to a hanger with macaroni.
Okay. Remember when you first got married, and what did you get as a gift? A giant wristwatch?
Yeah, that was from Grandma. It was supposed to be a wall clock, but it was a giant gold wristwatch that was like fashioned after a Rolex.
Did you register for that?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think you have to cut the elderly some slack.
Well, especially family.
Yes, you do have to cut some slack. I believe I got some pot holders.
I don't even know what we did with that, and I feel kind of bad. I wish we had kept that because.
Why?
Well, it was from Grandma, and she died. So.
Well,
it just.
I'm aware, but I don't know
happens,
if that
I
means
guess. But
everyone dies at some point.
I know, but I mean,
I know
how often do you get plastic wall clock fashioned after a Rolex from your dead grandmother? It's just one of those things.
I'm pretty sure Mom was hysterical when you opened that.
Yeah,
I'm fairly certain she thought that was just the funniest thing you've
especially
ever
from
seen
your
in
grandma
life.
Juanita. It's just
Yes. And then the other thing is never ask to add a +1 if it wasn't offered to you in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah. Okay.
And then finally, don't get drunk at the wedding.
Oh.
It's hard to believe that you have to put that in the rules, but
I
there's
thought
always
that was
uncle.
kind of a given. Doesn't everybody get drunk at weddings?
Well, yes, but then there's the incidences of the long speeches or how the bride accidentally had sex with the groom's cousin.
In the bridal suite, right?
Yeah, you just want to kind of keep those secrets down below the surface. And alcohol tends to dig all of those things up. So it might be best just to
kind of drives
stay
up
sober.
the bar tab a little too quick.
Yeah, you might want to just keep it to a minimum. I mean, those bar tabs get up fast, man. I had never seen a bar tab climb so high.
Well, you'll be happy to know I didn't. Me nor my family contributed to the bar tab. Well, actually, that's not true. I think my kids did have some Shirley Temples.
Well, that's fine. That's absolutely. There's no complaints about it. I'm just saying I was shocked at how fast a bar tab goes. It goes high quickly.
It does.
Very fast.
Yeah.
That was kind of a big wedding, though.
Yeah, it was.
It was a little large.
Yeah, it was kind of big.
But anyway, those are those. And of course, be on time.
Yes.
Don't show up after the bride's walking down the aisle.
Yeah, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do have to be on time.
So other than that, I mean, I was thinking about the sex thing. No one really teaches you etiquette about sex. You kind of learn that on your own. And no one goes, hey, just a heads up. When you start having sex, there are some things that you should keep in mind. You kind of have to learn that on your own. Like offering to take the wet spot. Make sure your legs are shaved. I mean, I don't know. I was trying to think of some of the etiquettes to sex.
Well, I mean, I think I learned a lot from movies.
Oh, yes, because they're accurate.
Well, I mean, it's a good foundation.
Well, it's better than nothing, I suppose.
It's true. I learned a lot from my first boyfriend. That was good.
Interesting. I don't prefer having my head pushed down during blowjobs. That would be unacceptable behavior.
I had a guy try that on me once, and I'm just like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
I don't know what you're thinking, but that is not
He's like,
acceptable
what?
behavior.
And he was like, kept trying to like, stop it! He was sitting on the couch. And,
God.
And like, as slouched as he could be.
Ew, gross.
And he was like lifting his pelvis as high as he could. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. And I'm like, I'm
Then
leaving.
Keep your ass on the couch and goodbye.
I got up and I left. He's like, where are you going? He's like, where are you going? I thought we were watching a movie. I'm like, you're not watching a movie.
Yeah, this is not a movie.
I'm like, I'm leaving. This is stupid.
Disgusting. Men are vile
It was
sometimes.
ridiculous. I think I was laughing actually as I was leaving. I'm like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, I've had men try to push my head down. I'm like, oh, no. Who do you think you are? I don't think. Do I look like that kind of girl?
It was absolutely ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. So guys, don't do that.
I was more mad at myself. I'm like, what was I thinking?
That too is girls don't let yourself get into that position. Have a little respect.
Yeah, it was dumb.
It's like, yeah, it happens. All right, well.
So sex etiquette then.
Yes, so that's it. So offer to take the wet spot or get a towel and make sure that you're shaved all over.
What?
Well, shave your legs.
Oh, jeez.
I don't mean like go
I thought
and
you meant I had to be
get
like
waxed.
one of those Chinese dogs. And I'm just like,
No.
geez.
I just meant, be clean.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah, be clean. Keep the important parts clean.
Are you reading from some list, or is this
No.
just Jamie's list of...
This is my list. Why?
Oh,
Is it too
okay.
specific?
Well, I didn't know. You're just like, be clean, be shaved. And I'm like, okay. Like,
No, I was just trying to think of things that I prefer.
I'm like, I don't remember seeing this on Emily Post's website.
No, I was just
God.
saying things that are just polite things to do when you're going to interact with another human being in that fashion.
Oh, okay.
Those are the things you should probably keep,
Brush your
offer to get
teeth.
the towel,
Yeah.
offer to be clean, wash your ass,
God.
I don't know. I mean, just
Wash the asshole.
make sure
Brush your
everything's nice and clean and tidy, and you're bringing your best foot forward.
Make sure you popped all the whiteheads. And
Last week, Daryl and I were doing this game.
speaking of,
No, he's profane of cleansing. He's clean beyond. He's very, very good at that. But no, we were doing this game. If you haven't listened to the show, you can listen to it. It's episode 145. I made him do this game that said what I would or wouldn't do for love.
okay.
And I said that I would never get a pedicure in public with him, but I would go with him to get one if he wanted one, but I wouldn't do it.
You'd watch him get a pedicure?
I didn't say I'd watch. I'd say I'd go with him and sit in the lobby while he went and got it done. I never said I would watch.
God, Jamie. Ugh.
He said for love. He said that he would do one for me. I told him that I'd have to be in a coma for that to happen. And if he did do it, I'd wake up because I would know, my brain would know, and I'd get up and I'd hit him.
I was just saying I'd slap Victor with a belt if he ever
I
tried
told
to do
him
something.
it was actually it was my drop. I said I would wake up and I would punch you in the mouth.
That's one
for
way to
doing
get
that.
us to wake up from a coma.
Right. Oh God, really? It's like open your eyes, see your children. We love you so much. It's like, no, I know how to do it. I'm going to give you a pedicure now,
Yeah,
honey,
really.
in front of everyone. I'd be like, my heart rate would be like,
like,
oh my God, she's waking up.
I'm going to suck on your toe.
Oh God! Why would you say such a thing? Why would you say such a thing?
I'm just saying that's one way to get someone to wake out of a coma.
Well, that is true. All right, well, let's go to Parent Circle. This is kind of a new segment, and I'm really liking it. I don't know about you, but I like Parent Circle.
Well, it's just because all these little child parental things keep popping up, it seems like, even weekly.
It happens when you're a mother.
I know, and I'm not really sure how to deal with them. So
Well, yeah.
Ryan says to me in the car the other day, he's like, so my friend Mike, I think he said, he's like, he invited me to come over to his house on Friday. Mm-hmm. to come over and play video games. And so I'm like, oh, okay. And so I don't know who Mike is. And, and I don't know Mike or his parents. And so I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I'm not really sure how to approach this, because I said, well, I'm like, I'd have to meet Mike's parents and meet Mike and, you know, short of having them, you know, provide a urine sample and a live fingerprint scan, you know.
Right.
And send you with a security detail. I don't really know what else. What happens with a play date? I don't really know what to do here.
Yeah. Okay. So when you told me this, you're like, I'm in a conundrum. I maintain my stance from the last time we had Parent Circle. And luckily we can do Parent Circle because I'm older than you.
Yes.
And I've gone through many of these phases that you are just now entering into, which is the social aspect of children. Because when they're younger, you're their social. They don't have, I mean, unless you're lucky and live in a really nice neighborhood where they grow up with their kid, you know, friends.
Right.
And, you know, but that doesn't happen very often anymore.
Not really.
People move, and no one allows their children to play outside for more than an hour because there are perverts and crazy people everywhere.
Pretty much.
Well, it feels that way. It may not be that way, but there are little bubbles of places where you can let your kids run around and they grow up with the same kids. But there's always the one mean kid, and then you hate the parents, and it becomes a thing. So now we do play dates with friends from school. And so I will never forget the first time that this happened with my son. He came home and said, you know, Chad wants me to come over and play, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I don't know who Chad is, but I'll think about it. He's like, well, Mom, we're best friends. And I said, okay, chill. So I remember, I'm like you, I'm incredibly protective of my children. I don't like others being near them unless I know them very, very well. And he was my firstborn, and he was like 7. So I was terrified. So basically what I did was I interrogated him on who Chad was. And he told me, and I said, is he a good kid? You know, does he have siblings? You know, and, you know, most boys don't know shit, and nor do they care to know.
Right.
All they know is they like playing with Chad or Mike or whatever, and they want to extend their time to outside of school.
Yeah, he knows that he has a PlayStation 3 as well, and so they have compatible games that they can play. And so I'm like,
that's what they're excited about.
Yeah, right. I'm like,
and
okay,
see,
well, that's good.
the thing with little dudes is they're very simple people. They don't have a lot of agendas. You know, they have their sports and their video games, and that's pretty much it. It's very limited, and that's the way it should be. I mean, if you've ever seen Daryl with his friends, there's no deepness to anything. It's beer, fishing, a few laughs about farting and food, and that's pretty much where it ends. And then that's it. And then they move on with their lives. So that's what it is with little dudes too. So for me, I went to the school, met the mom at the school, and just said, oh, I guess our boys want to, you know, hang out. And she's like, yeah, totally. Have them, you know, you can drop them off. And then you drop them off and you walk in and you know, get a basic lay of the land. Make sure there's no unemployed stepdad sitting around drinking beer.
Right.
And, you know, it's good, you know, and then keep it short. Because, you know, boys can play video games for freaking hours.
Right. Well, and that's what I told Ryan is I said that, well, maybe Daddy will go with you, and, you know, I said that he could stay for like the first hour or something. And
no, don't. That's not gonna happen.
I don't know, because I always look at it from my initial, because I did human resources for so long. I'm just like thinking, I'm like, well, maybe we'll just do it from like a job perspective. I'll have them take drug tests, and I'll do a small background check, and, you know, ask them a series of questions, and ask them where they see themselves in 5 years. And
right. This is what I do now because, you know, Malia is quite popular, and she gets invited to a lot of events and social gatherings. And so she's very trustworthy, and she has good friends. And so I say, well, where do they live? And she's like, oh, well, this is the address. So have him get the address.
Okay.
Then I Google map the address, and I look up the neighborhood, and I look up the house specifically. Yeah. And if there's any questionable anything, I'm like, I don't know. And then I've never done a drive-by, but I do Google Map, and I do the satellite view so I can see the house.
Well, the good thing actually is if they live near the school, I mean, all the houses by the school are really nice. Actually, if they asked for our address, we'd be the ones that look sketchy.
Exactly.
Technically,
So,
because we're the ones that are in
I know.
the shitty apartment, like outside of the school bounds.
it's still a little comforting to be able to see the physical place
Yeah,
in
no, I
which you are
understand.
going to allow your child. Basically, for a very first play date, first meet the boy, go to the classroom, meet the boy.
Yeah.
And then try, get the phone number and the address so that you can call the mom. And do not send Victor, for Christ's sake. You're going to scare the poor mother. Just go and be a man about it and meet this poor woman and say, the kids want to play. Do you mind if he comes over? Did you know that he invited my son?
Well, I'm just saying, like, what if they both work full time and he goes to daycare or something afterwards?
You need to find this information
All
out.
right.
That's the thing with kids, is they don't care about any of that. Their mind is set on one thing and one thing only. And so you have to cobble together the story and find out. And just say,
right.
does Mike's mom pick him up? Yes. Okay. So now you know he doesn't go to daycare. But get the number. Get the phone
All
number.
right. I'll get the digits.
You gotta do it. Stop being so fucking passive.
All right.
So
Do
next
it.
week, if we bring up Parent Circle again, hopefully the play date went off without a hitch and they had a great time. And then pretty soon, there's a little budding friendship, hopefully.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
he's 10 years old now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these things are bound to happen, I guess. It's just,
Yes.
I
Please,
guess.
you know what? I know how much your son loves the cooking shows, the MasterChef Juniors and all that stuff. Those children are odd.
I know.
You don't want him to be that, Paula.
No,
because then you'll have a whole new set of issues on your hands. You'll end up with ugly grandchildren. If
would
any at
never.
all.
That is not going to happen.
I know. And I'm just encouraging you to allow him to have a normal.
He's not
Wait.
abnormal.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Don't hold him back.
I'm not holding
Let him be.
back. This is the first time he's ever been.
I know.
No, that's not true. He's been invited to a birthday party before, and he went, and it was
Yes,
fine. So
exactly.
Kids are just different these days. They don't. They're just a little. I don't know. They aren't as social as I think they
Right.
once were.
That's why organized sports is so important. Because if you don't find ways to get your children to interact outside of school, then they never really understand teamwork or relying on others or learning to get along with different personalities and having authority figures that aren't their mom and teacher. Mm-hmm. Learn to meet this woman somehow and Google map her house, and it should be fine.
Okay. Hopefully.
I was going to say I have primarily adult kids because we had our kids so young. And I'm struggling with Mackenzie a little bit. She's 20. And it was funny because I had to think about it because she'd really pissed me off about something. And then she was gone for like almost 2 days. And I know where she was. And it's not like she's required to be home or anything. I mean, she's an adult. She's 20. And in the old days, she would have moved out by now, or she'd be living in the dorms at some college. Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't be accountable to me on a hourly or daily basis. I mean, the girl is doing well in school. She's got a great job. She's doing everything that she should be doing as a 20-year-old. And yet I'm struggling with her because I'm having a hard time letting her go. Mm-hmm. It sucks because it's like, on one side, it's like I want her to be free and do all this stuff. And on the other side, I'm like, where the hell are you? Get your ass home. Why? Because I said so, and then it really freaking sucks. And she really doesn't want to be here. And not because she hates it here, but because she's an adult.
Yeah.
And she naturally wants to go. And it's like, it's almost the same thing. It's like when they're young and they want to go off and start building a little life for themselves. Even at 11 or 10, they want to have their friends and they want to, do stuff. It's the same. It doesn't change when they're 20.
But I mean, don't they have to have a little bit of respect for?
She has respect. And she does check in. And, the thing is I really hate holding things over her head. Like, it'd be really easy for me to turn off your phone right now. Or I'll just take the keys since the car's not in your name anyway.
I wouldn't say that, but I mean, I would at least
I do say that.
Can you at least check in by 10 o'clock, if you're not coming home? Or
That's the thing, is that I have nothing really to complain about except that she's growing up. Freaking hate it.
Yeah.
But she still needs parenting. And there's nothing you can do to help me with that.
Yeah, that would be tough. But, I mean, as long as she's not making poor choices, I guess.
No, she's not. She's good.
Is she not
sadly.
making great choices?
No, she's making great choices. She's fine. She's doing everything she's supposed to be doing. And that's what pisses me off. I have nothing to complain about.
You know, it could be the kind of thing like with guys is if you just leave them alone, then they'll probably just come clinging back to you.
I've never had a man not come back to me.
So just leave her alone. I bet you she'll find her way back to you.
Yeah, maybe. I just want them to stay till they're old.
If you've been listening to The Ugly Truth for a while now, you know that Jamie and Paula never leave the house without a little freshening up. And that is why we're introducing the Lip and Clip Tip of the Week, brought to you by Avon. Here's Paula.
Not to toot my own horn, but I definitely get complimented on my eye makeup all the time. However, I can't take all the credit. Thanks to Avon, they have True Color Eyeshadow Quad. In one compact system, there are 4 numbered eyeshadows telling you exactly where to apply so you can look as glamorous as your favorite celebrity. With over 10 palettes to choose from, you can create a variety of looks and trick anyone into believing that you were made up by a professional. Trust me, if I can fool people, you definitely can fool people. Check them out. Look for True Color Eyeshadow Quads on our Avon website, and stay pretty, my friends.
To get this and any product from our Avon store, just visit uglytruth.com. That's UGLEE truth.com. And click on the Ugly Mall. Or you can go straight to it by uglytruth.com/shop. Thanks for supporting the show. Let's get back to the Ugly Truth.
Ain't it fun? Living in our real world. Ain't it good? Being all alone.
Well, let's go ahead and get to our ugly and awkward moment of the week now that we've resolved our parenting issues.
Okay, so how do I want to say mine? So recently we went into our cell phone store because we had to talk about some phone issues and something related to our bill and such. And so we were talking to them, and you know how you get into talking to you about, you know, upgrades and
Yeah.
things and about your bill. And so we were talking about credits and discounts and things like that. And there's different people around, and we're looking at the screen. And, you know, we have that issue where when we talk to people, we don't necessarily know the volume of our own voice.
Yes, we do have volume control issues.
So I was talking to the lady, and I said, okay, so this next, you know, billing cycle, things will change and blah, blah, blah. So I said to her, I'm like, so I'll notice that on my next monthly cycle. And I said it really loud. And she just kind of looked at me. And Victor kind of looked at me, and then I looked around, and there was other people looking at me.
You said it really
And
loud.
I said it really loud, and I didn't realize, because it was one of those moments where there was like a lull in everyone's kind of conversation, and it had gotten
Right.
kind of quiet in the room, because it's not like it was bustling in there, because it's not like
Right.
it's Christmas time or it's
Right.
like super busy. It was like in the middle of the day. And so I'm just like,
I know
so
exactly.
I'm like, so during my next monthly cycle, I'll notice a change. And so
And of course, well, see now, unlike you, me, I would have been like, oh, double entendre, right? Everyone, right?
And so then I'm like, covered my mouth. I'm like, oh, I said that really loud, huh? So I was just like, I'm like, that sounded
Awkward.
funny. And I'm like, oops. I'm like, I meant like my billing cycle, you know, like.
Oh, of course.
you
Then
know.
you have to over explain
You know, I
yourself
was-
so that everyone knows.
and
I wasn't
she
talking
just-
about my menstrual flow, by the way.
She's kind of like. She just kind of giggled, and so she's like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh," you know. And I was like, "So," I'm like, "But seriously, in all truth, like the next month, I'm going to see the change on my bill, right?"
But
Like, you
seriously,
know, I was
in
like,
kind of a hushed tone, but
like,
seriously.
but in my like, really, I want to know, like, on my
And she's like,
next bill,
and
like-
yes, you absolutely will. That's so funny.
It was dumb, but it was funny because
Why do we have the volume control issues? We all do it.
I don't know. Like our voice just carries that way.
It's like when
I
we
don't know
get
if
really
it's-
resolute on a statement, we really want everyone to hear it or something. It's so
Not
strange. I
sure,
don't
but-
understand.
we just have a way of talking, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but
I do not
it
know,
just
but we do. And we all do it. That's what's so funny to me.
Well,
it's
it's just, and we always say all the wrong things. We always do. And I just, as soon as I said it, I'm like, why did I say that? Like, why did
know.
I say that? I knew what I was trying to say.
I know. It's like we're always on stage. Like we're always trying to like deliver a line or something. It's so funny.
I was looking at the screen because it says cycle, it says, because it's called a cycle.
Right.
Like you're, and it's like, I'm like, so my next monthly cycle, because the bill's in my name. And so I'm just like, it's my monthly cycle.
I just think we like to be a little witty at all times. But the volume control thing is what's funny to me.
I wasn't even trying to be witty. I was just trying to say,
It's
like, on my
ingrained in your DNA. It's like you're not even trying to be witty. It just happens.
Yes.
Okay, so my ugly and awkward moment. Do you remember last year when my air conditioner broke? Do you remember that? It was like 110.
I was going to ask you because when you told me your heater was broken, I thought that was the same problem you were having, but you guys got referred by a friend.
Well, we have this person actually came out to the house that we rented before we bought this house. He came out and helped us with our air conditioner there. And
Okay.
he is an HVAC guy. He's very, very good. He works for the school district, but he does side jobs just like anybody who has that skill does. And I'm grateful for it because I would much rather pay someone directly knowing that it's helping him in his pocket, his family. It's not going to some company. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I love people who do side jobs, especially when they're so good. So he did help us with our air conditioner. Now, the air conditioner issue was quite complex, but he did such a great job. It's worked like a charm ever since. The heater is actually a different element. We have a fairly expensive unit. We obviously didn't buy it. It came with the house, but they require a lot of maintenance. It hasn't been maintained because we haven't needed to. It's a weird thing. It's like we would now, but it broke before we even had the opportunity to have it serviced. So this person is the one we called when the heater started to die. So Daryl, this was over the weekend. It was on Sunday, and he was super nice and said, I'll come by today, no problem. Now, it's been cold in our house for a day, and so one of the ways to keep a house warm is to do a bunch of cooking.
Okay.
Oven, baking a lot of stuff. And so I'm like, I'm going to make all the baked goods I can find in the house just to keep the oven running. I'm going to make meatloaf for dinner. That's another hour and a half. I was doing all this stuff. So I was in the kitchen. I was hot because I had been cooking for like 2 hours at this point. Daryl's like, okay, I'm going to go take Malia to the mall because her friends want to go to the mall, and then I'll be right back. It's like 5 minutes. No problem. I'm in a black tank top and black sweats. My hair's in a bun. I have no makeup on, no bra, and I'm just doing my thing. Daryl has been gone for 2 minutes, and the door knocks. And I went, you have got to be kidding me. Okay. And now the thing is now you know who I'm mad at, right?
Daryl.
I'm mad at Daryl because he didn't
Right.
let me know this guy was on his way. So me and my very large, round, non-sagging breasts come jiggling to the door, and I'm like, I'm not even thinking about it, right? The house is cold. So I open up the door because I'm not aware, when it's your own body, you're not really aware of what it looks like to others. So I open up the door and he goes,
Why are you always trying to show your breasts to the neighborhood?
The thing is I know to these poor people who have not asked for this. So I unlock the door. I open the door quickly. So I'm like, blah, blah, bling. And I'm like, hi, John. And he goes, hello. And he's trying really hard not to look down, but I saw his eye
He's
go
like Forrest
for a
Gump in
moment.
that scene where they're in Vietnam and he's like covering his eyes where the rain's like splashing up in his eyes.
Yes. And so I'm like, hi. He goes, how are you? I go, well, I'm really cold.
Clearly.
All right. He goes, how have you been? I'm like, I'm good. And so, I
Nice to
escort him
nipple
out.
you. I mean, see you.
Oh my God. And so I'm in the kitchen. So finally, I walk him out and I can't just leave him out there. I've got to stand out there and be social.
Jamie.
I know.
Invite the man in. Oh, it's cold out here. You want to come in?
So anyway, I go back into the kitchen. I'm just like, God damn it. I swear to God. I mean, every single time this poor man comes. And let me tell you, he loves his wife. He is not a pervert. He's not anything of that nature. He's a good dad.
He's still a human being.
He's a gentleman, completely whatever. So I'm in the kitchen. Daryl walks in and he looks at me and I give him a look. He goes, I'm so sorry. And I said, I hate you a lot. Have you any idea what I have to go through when I have to deal with others? Get out there! And he didn't even look at me when he left. I said, and in my mind, I'm going, I promise you, I will wear a bra next time you come over.
Geez.
I will have on suitable clothing. I promise.
Seriously, you probably made him uncomfortable.
Of course I did. Of course I did.
Oh,
No, I mean, you know what? Everyone can appreciate good boobs, but not every time you come over.
Well, not just that, but I mean, it's just, he's like, I didn't order them. They came with the menu.
He's probably like, why don't I just bring my wife to these appointments? This would just be so much easier.
I don't know. It'd be like sending Daryl to someone's house and, their wife opening the door like that.
And the thing is, it's like Daryl would come home and say, I have to tell you something. This woman, oh no, because he would be like, I just want you to know, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if this guy does that or not. I'm just saying that.
Poor guy.
I feel terrible. It's like, well, I mean, this was the one where this is the same guy that I suggested we have an affair last year.
What?
Remember?
Oh my God, no.
Remember, I was sitting there, I go, man, you come over so often this week, people are going to start thinking we were having an affair.
Oh, Jamie.
This poor guy. He has experienced so much awkwardness with me because I am incapable of having a normal discussion with someone when I've already messed it up somehow.
Well, don't be surprised if the next time you guys call him, if he just says, you know what, I'm so booked. I can't fit you guys into my schedule.
God.
But I can refer you to another great person.
I know, this poor man and me. It's like he's the reluctant mistress, the reluctant affair man or something. It's like,
or the next time he comes over, he just sweeps you into his arms and he kisses you. And
I know. It's like, is this what you wanted?
He's like, I'm sorry, I must have had the wrong idea. And you're like, actually, you're not. You know what? You probably don't have the wrong idea, but I know where you're coming from.
I know.
And
I'm really sorry.
I'm sorry. You don't have the wrong idea, but you do, but you don't. I don't know how to explain it.
I'm just
sorry.
making it worse.
I'm going upstairs. Don't follow me.
Yeah, that's not an invitation.
That's not an invitation.
Yeah, I know. It's just the worst. Just the worst. I feel so sorry.
Funny.
John, I'm so sorry.
So funny.
Just so sorry. God.
Well, gosh, I think you probably win this
Oh,
week, to be
God. And
honest.
he's coming back on Friday, but I insisted upon it. Daryl's working from home that day. Like, do
He
not
has
leave me alone with this
He
man.
has to. I think you should stay. Yeah, I think you should stay out of the house.
Oh, my God. No kidding. Anyway, well, thank you.
Oh, man.
Okay, so before you wrap up, I just wanted to say one thing. It's not our hot button. Our hot button is mental health. Please be aware of yourself if you're go to NAMI.org if you have any questions about your depression or anxiety. We don't need to frequent that site ourselves personally. We've got our mental disorders dialed in. However, if you are having those issues. In addition, however, February is Heart Disease Awareness Month for women. And it is the number one killer. It ain't breast cancer. It's heart disease. And so if you're having any weirdness, go to your doctor, get yourself checked out. It doesn't matter how old you are. Heart, you only get one, and you got to take care of it. Mm-hmm. Diet and exercise, ladies.
Turn on your heart light.
Let it shine wherever you go.
I love that song.
I love Neil Diamond.
I know.
Let it make a happy glow for all the world to see. I don't even know how.
Was that song made especially for E.T.?
Yes.
Oh.
I love that movie too, actually.
I don't. It's
Really?
so sad. It's just too sad.
Well, I know. The ending is he goes home, but the kids are left heartbroken, right?
Well, and then I just, I'm kind of glad they stopped making movies so damn sad.
I know.
Movies were so freaking sad, man.
I agree. I'm trying to think what I saw. Something made me bawl. I think I'm hormonal a little
Did you
bit.
finally watch Inside and Out?
No. I have to.
Yeah, Jamie,
It's
I'm
gonna
telling
ugly cry
you,
me, isn't
that
it?
thing is a killer.
You know what? I know.
I watched that movie and I'm like, what is this bullshit? And I'm like, what is this?
Why am I feeling things?
God.
Yeah, I know.
But
I'm a little behind on the kid movies. Oh, I think I was watching The Incredibles. It made me all verklempt.
I'm saying, watch Inside and Out. I mean, that thing, I referenced that movie for like a week.
Oh,
I mean,
jeez. That's big for you.
It's pretty like psychobabble stuff. Yeah.
I did hear that. Oh, I did read a blurb today. This is very interesting, and then you can wrap it up. You know who Joe Fiennes is?
No.
He's an English actor. He kind of looks like the guy that does all of those oh, damn it. He
Are you
was
sure it's not Ralph?
Ralph Fiennes?
Are you sure it's not that?
It's Joseph Fiennes. He was in
Okay.
like Schindler's List, and I believe I want to say he was in Made in Manhattan, but I'm not sure if that's the same guy. But anyway, he's an actor, and if you saw his face, you would recognize him. And he has been cast in a movie playing Michael Jackson.
Isn't he a white guy?
Yes. And so he's playing Michael Jackson, and it's about Elizabeth Taylor, Marlon Brando, and Michael Jackson getting into a car after 9/11 and going on a road trip.
Is this a bad joke?
No, it's a real movie for television coming out in England, and he was cast as Michael Jackson. And I'm like, Kate Blanchett played Bob Dylan in a movie, and it worked. Because he's very effeminate looking, if you think about it. He's a very small featured individual. So a woman could easily play him. And I'm thinking, Michael Jackson in 2000, that was right towards the end of his life. A woman could absolutely play Michael Jackson.
But he's not a woman.
No, I know, but I'm saying if we're going to go this far-fetched, why are we casting a very tall white man to play Michael Jackson? I mean,
I don't know.
Why can't we do a man of color or a woman of color to play Michael Jackson?
Like
he had a very high
Jada,
voice.
like Jada Pinkett Smith, maybe?
I said that. Did you see my tweet?
No.
Oh, how funny. I totally tweeted that.
She would make a good one.
I said, why can't Jada Pinkett Smith play Michael Jackson?
Well, maybe because she can't act.
Well, she is definitely questionable. I have seen her in one movie.
What, Woo?
What's that? Is that a movie?
Yeah, it's
No.
the really bad movie she made like ages ago.
No, I saw her in a movie called The Women. It was a remake where she played a lesbian who loves models. There was like 2 funny scenes in it for
I think
her.
she's played a lesbian in most of her
Well, I think
movies.
she is a lesbian. At least that's what I've heard. I don't want to gossip about it. I
No,
don't
there's
know.
rumors, but I mean,
a
there's
lot of
rumors about everybody.
I know. Everyone's bisexual in Hollywood, apparently. So
That's the
anyway,
rumor.
all right. I'm done talking. I just wanted to mention that.
Well, on that note, I guess that's an awkward note to follow.
I'm
so,
awkward.
I guess I'll just wait a few seconds and then try and let that stink die. Okay, well, on that note, it's good to be back. Thanks, everybody, for letting me have a little stay of execution. And hopefully you enjoyed the time with Jamie and producer Dub. Thanks for keeping up on the Amazon shopping and the Avon shopping as well. We look forward to many more shopping time. Please visit our Facebook page and our Twitter and be sure to follow us on those sites. Check out the heart disease goredforwomen.org or our NAMI links and stay current on all of those sites. And then also, like I said, on our Facebook page, we'll be posting all of the links that we discussed during the current episode. Other than that, have a fabulous week and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Ugly Truth. If you're interested in keeping up with the Uglies, then follow them on Twitter @TheUglyTruth, friend them at facebook.com/uglytruth, or leave comments on our shows at uglytruth.com. That's UGLEE truth.com. Until next time, be ugly and own it.